We want to talk about a condition that is in existence today that a lot of people still aren't quite too sure about. They don't understand the implications. They don't understand the condition in the first place. But to put it in perspective, we have Dr. David Corbin, a neurologist, to join us. And we have Sherry Ward, and this topic is Parkinson's disease. Now, Muhammad Ali has Michael J. Fox. There are a lot of big names who suffer with Parkinson's disease. Yeah. And I want to ask Dr. Corbin, first of all, to explain the condition, what causes it, and how do you address it?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The cause of Parkinson's disease is still unknown, but it was recognized, it's actually been recognized for a long time, but it was placed in the English medical literature round about the turn of the 19th century by James Parkinson, who was a physician working in London, UK, in the East End actually. And he had one or two patients with what he called the shaking palsy, paralysis agitans in Latin. So he noticed that there were some patients of his that had a tremor, a resting tremor, and also moved very slowly with a slouch, a hunch.
It's like, wow.
And they were rigid to various degrees. So he produced an essay on 6 cases, which has become the sort of starting point in the medical English literature for discussion of Parkinson's disease. Then other neurologists in that same century expanded the study of the condition, and there are still studies going on, lots of research, and we still recognize that there is at the core of the condition a tremor or shaking. There is slowness of movement, so persons have to spend a lot of energy moving, and there is a sort of rigidity of the body. So they have difficulty turning, difficulty walking, difficulty getting into cars, difficulty getting out of bed. Sometimes they will fall over because their postural reflexes are impaired because of what we call the rigidity.
Okay. Well, we want to talk as well about any novel treatments for managing it, at least. But before that, I would like to hear a little bit from Cherry about living with Parkinson's disease. Sure. How long have you been living with Parkinson's?
I've been living with, well, good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
I've been living with Parkinson's disease now for about 8 years. I was diagnosed in 2008.
Right. What was it like making this transition and accepting and managing and all that? Tell us about that.
Well, it was a big challenge. It was a shock when I heard the news, and I had to tell this to my 3 children, which was kind of difficult. And after I'd spoken to them about it, then I relaxed. It was like, okay, Mommy, you're not dying from this. No, you're not. Everybody has to die. But living with it, it's a challenge, but I remain positive. The fine motor skills become very difficult because my right hand tremors, as you can probably see. But I manage. I have to stay positive. I know it's a challenge. We have to overcome our challenges. And yeah, this is how I'm dealing with it on a day-to-day basis.
What were your first signs?
My little finger, my pinky finger started to tremor. And I went immediately to my house practitioner, and he sent me to the neurologist and gave me a battery of tests, which proved not positive, negative at the time. And they told me I had essential tremor, which I'm sure Professor Corbin knows about. And then about 5 months later, they said, I think this is Parkinson's.
Right. Was there anyone else you knew of in your family or friends had it before?
I know a friend, an older gentleman who passed away, not from Parkinson's, from complications of Parkinson's, but I had there are no relatives that have in my family that have Parkinson's.
Right.
Is Parkinson's common in Barbados? I raised that, number one, and I want to find out from you, Cherry,
Yeah.
if is there a frustration that this has been going on for so long, and yet still they can't tell you what causes it?
No, well, I don't think of the future. I'm dealing in the now. And I think it's important to deal with any illness, any chronic illness, you deal in the now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just start thinking, oh my God, what is going to happen? What remedies are going to happen? What research? Well, research is being done at the moment, but they haven't found a cause and they haven't found a cure.
Right.
So you have to live with it. It's a challenge. You have to live with it. You have to stay positive. And yeah.
Okay. Well, I was
Yeah.
asking earlier about some. You want to
Well,
say something?
yes, in response to Doug's question about how common is it?
Yeah.
Well, there are dozens of patients in the clinic at the hospital, in my private clinic, and any neurologist will see many patients with Parkinson's disease. Now, we do not have a register, so I can't give you an exact figure as to how many persons in Barbados have this condition. But based on international figures, I figure there are around 800 to 1,000 persons with this condition in Barbados.
So would that be considered then relatively a small number
No.
for our local?
Well,
Okay. That's a lot.
The number in the U.S. is, according to according to literature, is around 1 million persons suffering. So therefore, there are several million persons with the condition worldwide. So it is not rare.
Right.
And it is the second most common neurodegenerative condition after Alzheimer's disease. Now, everybody knows someone with Alzheimer's disease. Now, over the age of 80, a quarter of persons, maybe even more, maybe a third of persons have Alzheimer's disease. The equivalent figure for Parkinson's disease is around 4%. Okay, and over the age of 60, about in that age range between 60 and 65, about 1% of persons have the condition. Now, it also occurs in younger persons. About 10 to 15% of cases are younger persons, less than 60. The same is true of Alzheimer's disease. We do see some young persons with Alzheimer's disease, but both conditions get more prevalent, more frequent as the population gets older.
Okay.
So because we have an aging population and we have a greater number of persons who are living longer, therefore we're going to see more of this condition.
Well, with studies ongoing, have you seen any innovations in terms of treatment for management, at least?
Well, the first really effective treatment came around 1960 or so, which is a treatment called L-DOPA. Now, what happens in Parkinson's disease is that the nerve cells which produce dopamine degenerate much faster than the rest of the brain. Now, symptoms do not appear until approximately 70% of that population of cells have degenerated.
So it's too late by the time you find out.
Precisely. Precisely. Therefore, Parkinson's disease, by the time symptoms appear, Parkinson's disease would have started many years before that.
And it is not
That's the point.
something you can test for in
No.
normal. Yeah.
No, that's very true. Although there are some studies showing that the sense of smell is one of the first things to go. But
Really?
yes, it's very
You
unusual.
experienced
I
that,
experienced
Cherry?
that, but I had no idea it was related to Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like
So-
3 or 4 years prior, excuse me,
Yeah,
3 or 4 years prior to having been diagnosed, I lost my sense of smell. And I thought, oh, that's normal. Well, I guess I was getting older and these things do happen.
Yeah. So that's right. So there may be something in that. So we've recognized that the olfactory pathways, to what we call the the pathways that carry the sense of smell are involved earlier than the cells that are involved with movement.
Okay.
Because essentially it's a condition that affects movement.
Okay, well, your work then must be ongoing to build awareness. How are you doing that? I know sometimes you have a walk. Well, is that a part of your plan?
Well, I think you should
Let Sherry, Sherry tell us about that.
Well, building awareness, I got involved as being a volunteer in Montreal at the World Parkinson's Congress in 2013. Energetic, emotional, and very empowering. And I thought I had to do something about Parkinson's awareness because there were really no statistics available to me here in Barbados. And I presented my idea to the Ministry of Health, and that was accepted, and I started from there. And it's important to build awareness because building awareness, you get informed, you're educated, and people have fear sometimes approaching us because they don't know what to say, what to do. Or they might say, are you ill? Do you need a medical assistance at the moment? You don't. So being aware of a situation, you're informed. So if they see someone with Parkinson's, they can be helpful. They can ask questions, do you need some assistance, whatever. So it was very important for me to make sure that we had an awareness here in Barbados.
And people are taking kindly to that, I would imagine.
Yeah, people have been very generous and very loving and gracious. I can't complain. It has been wonderful. I mean, when I tell people, I actually tell people. I don't hide it. And I think this is something that I have to impress upon people, our Parky people, as I call them.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, because people tend to hide the hand. I mean, my hand shakes. What can I do about it? There's really nothing I can do about it. I can't stop it. But you have to be positive. You have to tell people, I have Parkinson's disease. That means my hand will shake, or, I mean, people have other problems, impaired balance and different things like that. But I tell people, and then people warm up. Oh, don't worry, I'll help you with this. I'll help you sign this. I'll help you pack this. You know, so people have been really very gracious to me here.
Having said that, I just want to know about this. Have you met people in your work of building awareness who have been in denial and refuse to accept it?
Definitely. They don't even want to come out of their homes. And this is what I want to change. How can you expect people to be understanding if you don't tell them, if you don't share with them, I have a problem? You know,
Well, I knew a guy, he actually was a taxi driver, and I noticed the shaking, because I'm familiar with Parkinson's, and I noticed a little twitch in his arm, and you know, and some movement, and I said, you need to have that checked out by a doctor. He said, no man, that's just a problem I had from a long time ago, you know, and I saw him recently, and he's got Parkinson's.
So this is why we need awareness, you know, because people, if they have a slight tremor or some balance impairment, they can say, okay, let me go to the doctor. I need to get this checked out. Because if not, you wait too late.
Have you got a group that you meet and share?
Not here, but in
stories?
Switzerland, yes. And this is what I'm planning to do after the walk, after the awareness walk.
When is the walk?
On the 8th of March at 4 o'clock.
Look
These
at
are
that.
the T-shirts. This is the back of the T-shirt.
Together we can.
Make it
And this is it.
Very nice.
My hand will shake.
That's okay. That gets the
Your
message out.
hair. That's the important
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
And I would like to give both of you, I have some bands here,
Oh, lovely.
and I would like to share
Thank you.
announcing the walk.
Thank
I
you
hope
so
can join
very
us.
much.
It's the 8th of March at 4 o'clock, and it will be on the playing field in Speightstown opposite the bus stand.
What they call the Mahika playing
Mahika
field.
pasture, yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
She's a St. Peter girl.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's an honorary
I'm
St. Peter
honorary
person.
St. Peter, yeah.
Well, I hope you can join me, and I think it's going to be fun. I don't want to have a very serious occasion because we live with Parkinson's. It has to be fun. You have to live your life. You have to
Yeah.
live in the now. You can't think of the future. The past is gone. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Dr. Corbin, how important is this kind of environment for people with Parkinson and for those on the outside looking in?
And it's final seconds we have.
Yeah, well, I am a firm believer in patient support groups, and you know, I'm very happy to collaborate with Sherry on the setting up of this, because patients, when they talk to each other with the same condition, are the buzzword, of course, is empowered.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it gives them an understanding, a perspective, and they live life more positively, as
Excellent.
Sherry has said.
Excellent.
And I'd also like to say that in the last couple of seconds that one of a physician colleague from the U.S. Called Dr. Cranston is going to join Sherry on this walk. He suffers from Parkinson's disease, but he's a wonderful person for raising awareness also. He's been running around the Caribbean, he's been running in other parts of the world, and he should be here early March too.
Great stuff. Thank you for coming in and sharing with us,
Thank you
Dr.
for having
Corbett.
us.
Thank you, Cherry, and you look lovely. Love that necklace.
Thank you very much.